folks, it's December 7th, 2021, 9:40 a.m. Call the Planning and Zoning Committee to order. Would you call the roll, please, Amanda?
Zumwalt.
Present.
Curtis.
Yes.
Awful. Here. Bard.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Mrs. Alpho. Mr. Zumwalt, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Has everyone had a chance to check the claims? Have a motion to approve the claims? Mrs. Awful? Mr. Zumwalt, is there any discussion? Call the roll, please, Amanda.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Awful. Yes. Bard.
Yes. Yeah, get in there. Are there any public comments at this time? Reports from the departments. Mrs. Suver.
I thought if I moved over here, you wouldn't call him first.
I don't know, it's just a habit I've gotten
I know, I'm
into.
kidding, I'm kidding. Okay, so last Thursday we had a Zoom meeting with all of the county clerks and the state board of elections regarding changes to election law that are happening for the 2022 election cycle. One thing I want to make everyone aware of, and this is something that I think is going to cause a lot of confusion for people or for all of the registered voters. Before the primary election, my office is going to be required to send a letter out to every registered voter regarding your ability to sign up for a permanent vote by mail list. You don't have to sign up for that list, but I am required with this new law to send a letter out to every single registered voter. So what that means is if you sign up for the permanent vote by mail list, you'll still have to sign an application to vote, but it will just trigger us for future elections to mail you an application for the ballot rather than you having to ask for it. So then once the primary is over, before the general election, anyone that did not sign up for that permanent vote by mail list will receive another letter from the clerk's office informing you of your ability to sign up for a vote by mail, for a permanent vote by mail list. So I know it's gonna cause confusion and I know it's going to be a rather large expense because we have to mail it to every single registered voter and we can't opt out of sending the letter. So I just, like I said, just want to start talking about it so you guys know, so you can spread the word. If someone asks you, you don't have to sign up for the permanent vote by mail list. It was just something required by law, which the letter will state that, but most people don't read the letters. They just see that a permanent vote by mail list and then they'll freak out and say, I don't want to do that. And you don't have to. So it's something, like I said, that I just want to start talking about because that will go out before the primary.
And you'll get lots of phone calls too.
Yes, it'll be just like last year when we sent the actual applications out, or when we were required to send the actual applications out. Caused a lot of confusion for people, and I'm afraid it's going to do that with this letter that we send.
Do you have any estimate on how much it's gonna cost?
However much it costs to mail a letter times 18,000.
Is there
Yeah.
funding attached to that?
Do what?
Who's gonna pay for that?
Oh, the county has to, because right now there's no funding attached to it. So unfortunately, right now, the grants that we have, as far as I know, won't cover it, unless they've changed, any type of the grant stipulation. So, like I said, it's required and we have to do it.
Unfunded mandate.
Another,
Is there a fine if you don't do it?
I don't know if there's a fine if I don't do it, but Jim Devine will tell me if it's the law, follow the law. So, that's just like we had a requirement that we had to put, chips into our voting devices for, undervote and overvote detection. And it's something that the county board did not want us to proceed with. This was several years ago. When we received word from Jim Devine, if it's the law, you need to follow the law. So I'm going to follow the law. Unfortunately, I have to.
Is it a mandate or is it a law?
It's a law. It was signed into law, signed as Public Act, or Senate Bill 563, I think. Or 356. What was that number?
536.
536. See, I'm dyslexic too.
So,
Okay, do you have another question about it?
yeah, so there's the initial expense of sending out all of the information. Then there will be another expense of sending out the people that want to vote by mail.
Right, yes, that is
So,
100% correct.
yeah,
It's just one of those things that I don't know that,
Disneyland down at Springfield comes up with a
well,
lot of
I
stuff.
guess that's one way to put it. Like I said, I don't know if there's going to be any type of funding for it, but right now I have not heard anything,
Yeah,
to the fact, so.
Whether the state pays for it or we pay for it, the taxpayer.
Right, taxpayers still paying for it, right? Do we have any other questions about that? No? Okay, moving on. The Statement of Economic Interest forms, the yellow sheets that we send out every year, they haven't taken those away, but they have changed them. So the questions on them, have changed, I wanna say considerably. Some of the questions are still the same though. They did eliminate one, but you still have to have a law degree in order to read it. So that's something that if you know people that are like on drainage districts, on any kind of taxing body, spread the word. The Statement of Economic Interest forms are changing. Most people just don't even read it anymore and write none because they know that that's what they've answered for the last 20 years because the form really hasn't changed much. But this year it has changed and the questions are in different areas now. So you're gonna wanna make sure you pay attention when you're filling that thing out. And then the only other thing I have to report that, taxing bodies are continuing to file budgets and levies, and we should be getting drainage levies in by the end of the month, so Mary will be able to get started entering those and getting everything ready to rock and roll for extension. Yep.
have they set a date for the primaries yet and also a date for, the picking up petitions and
Right,
filing?
yeah, so June 28th is what the primary is going to be.
Okay,
And then petition circulation will begin on January 13th.
January 13th,
Mhm.
okay.
And then filing will be March 7th through March 14th. So that hasn't changed since this bill was passed back in, I can't remember the first time I had reported on it. Maybe back in June, July.
Okay,
That's all I have.
okay. Mr. Elvers,
We completed our final tax distribution last month, so all the taxing bodies Most of them have, their final tax distributions. We're still holding on to a few tax distributions because some of the taxing bodies haven't given us the published reports that they're required to by law. So we're just waiting on them to finish those, and then we can finish getting everything out. And then other than that, we're just getting ready for the audit coming up next week, 2 weeks, somewhere.
Auditors will be here next week.
Okay, so.
That's it? Okay, Mr. Yergler.
On the assessment side, the board review complaint period has come to an end December 3rd. So they're doing tentative decisions as of now, and we'll get ready to process them and get those tentative decisions out. Then we'll have final hearings and then go forward. And that's pretty much all we're working on right now.
Okay. And then we'll go right on with your planning and zoning office report.
Pretty slow month, you can tell by, even though a little bit better than last year. 6 total building permits, most of them were ag. Should be 3 ag permits, not 2, but that's irrelevant, there's no fees on them anyway. Building inspections, and, the claims for and your building permit report attached, along with claims. Jeff Meyer didn't submit his inspections and mileage again. I'm guessing it's a tax reason, not so much he doesn't owe his money, since he's retired. So, but that's that, and, so, we did have a zoning board of appeals hearing last week for another kennel license for Paulette Waltz, who was present today. And so that's all I have for my report. If anybody has any questions, and then you guys move into the kennel for Paulette if you want, or whatever you want to do.
Okay, yes. I think we could go right into having Paulette present her plan and everything for her kennel.
So I applied for a kennel license to breed Great Danes. We have a 12 by 24 Martin building that we have insulated and heated. Currently I have 4 kennels on the inside, 5 by 5, with attached outside dog runs that are 5 by 10s. My plan will be to have 4 adult breeding females and 4 puppies to raise for when the 4 adults retire. And 1 male. I have a neighbor who has a male that I can also use, so that's pretty much it. I did finish last weekend or the weekend before, covers over my dog runs, so they don't have to be out in the snow if it's too cold out. Any questions? I don't know. I do have some pictures if you want.
Yeah, I'd like to see the
Yeah,
pictures.
let's-
They're not the greatest pictures, they're from my phone and printed at home, but.
Do you have any neighbors around you?
Our closest neighbor is what, like quarter mile, half mile, something.
There was one neighbor that was present at the ZBA and just had a question about who was gonna take care of the dogs when she was gone or on vacation, and she answered that satisfactory to that neighbor, and that was it.
What type of surface do you have for the runs, Paula?
Concrete patio pavers,
Are they set in concrete?
no,
In other words, they're just set on the ground?
gravel.
How much room is there for the dogs to run since they are so big?
Well, we're on 3 1/4 acres, so they do get plenty of time outside. Ideally, at some point in time, I would like to, obviously I need to make money before I keep spending it, but I would like to do a nice fenced in area, like off my shed, off to the property line on the back and all that, so that I can just not worry. Ones I currently have, they know their limits and they stay in the yard, but as I get more, they might decide to roam a little more.
What type of drainage do you have to, how do you collect the solid waste and that type?
Well, for the most part, they're out in the yard, but, there are actual like dog septic systems. They get buried 2 feet, I think, 3 feet, and they have like a pop-up opening that you put in there. There's like enzyme you have to buy that makes it safe that it breaks it down. The only negative of it is if it's like 10 degrees out, then it freezes up. They can't be used throughout the entire winter.
Now, you say it's a septic system, has that been approved and,
They're just like $50 you buy on, like Petco or whatever. It's just a plastic barrel basically that has holes in it that you put an enzyme and water in it, and so when you put the waste in it, it disintegrates it and makes it safe to go into the ground.
okay, so you scoop out the solid waste,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah.
Okay. And the urine then just seeps down through the cracks in the patio
Yeah.
blocks?
So, I'll have to check with Ryan, but we don't regulate animal waste at the health department. We
Okay.
only regulate the human waste,
Okay,
okay? But human waste is like a hand washing sink.
yeah,
So if you have a hand washing sink, then it needs to be tied to a septic system. So I don't know anything about your barn or your run or whatever. Do you have a hand washing sink?
Out there, no.
No, and will you be washing dogs inside, I mean, that's considered animal waste, but if,
I was gonna say, if I
Are-
bathe my dogs, they bathe in my bathtub.
okay,
so-
and so yours isn't gonna be, you're not gonna have like public access or
No.
workers' access
No,
to, this is
me,
just you
yeah.
taking your,
I mean, the only time people will be coming is when they come to pick up a puppy that they purchase.
okay, so, are you, if those people come to pick up a puppy, are you just gonna let them, use the restroom in your home? Are you going to, cause if you have a business, you gotta have a place for them to go to the restroom.
Well,
So-
generally, they're only here for like 5-10 minutes to pick their puppy up, but I mean,
Okay, so,
if they needed to use the restroom, I guess they would use it in my house.
okay, so the only time the health department gets involved is if needs to be a place for hand washing or any type of human waste.
Yeah.
The dog waste is not our jurisdiction, but if you've got a hand washing sink, then you're required to follow the county ordinance. And the county ordinance says that it will be, human waste is tied to a septic system, with the appropriate leach field and so forth. So, so if you have a hand washing sink, then you need to follow the ordinance.
do all the runs go into this one septic barrel?
Well, I have to shovel it out of the runs and put it in the septic.
I see, okay. Okay, so then you have a water outlet in the,
There's no running water in my shed, but, right off my dog runs on the corner of another building of our house, we have a water hose and all that right there.
so you can,
So I can spray them down and water them from there, yeah. There's actually 2. I've got one from our house that I can reach out there to, but the one from the little shop is closer.
The building itself is it heated or not?
Yeah, I had it foam insulated, and Andy Clark put in a mini split out there, so it's gonna be heated and air conditioned.
I know sometimes with puppies, they can get pretty messy, so how would you clean them off?
The puppies. They're really not bad. Mom generally does all of that.
Sometimes they can get messy too, though, in the.
Well, in that case, I'd probably take them in the house and give them a bath, but, we had a litter earlier this summer and it went really well and, but of course I had them in the house most of the time. Eventually kicked them to my husband's shed because they were getting a little big. It was a litter of 12, so it was a large litter, so. But after that, my husband said, I don't care if you do it again, but you're not having them in my shed, so that's how this kind of started.
Do the females whelp in the inside part of their runs?
Yeah, they'll, in the shed, yeah. I haven't really decided yet because with winter, I don't know how warm I can keep the shed. I've been keeping it at about 60 degrees so far, but ideally it'd be warmer than that for the puppies. So I may whelp in the house. That's what we did last time.
Okay.
My family wasn't happy because I turned the air off for 2 weeks in the middle of the summer when it was like 100 degrees out, but I said the puppies were more important.
Yeah. I guess the only question I would have is the patio blocks just being butted up together and ground can heave a little bit and they can separate and you can get animal waste down in between that when you're washing things out.
Right. My goal is to actually do concrete slabs out there eventually. It was just, with it being fall already and it's so hard to get people to come and show up to do anything right now that it was kind of put off and that was kind of the temporary solution. So hopefully maybe next summer I'll have like 2 separate, cause my runs are kind of split into 2. There's 2 on this side, 2 on that side. I'd have ideally 5 by 10 or 10 by 10s on each side of concrete. It'll make it easier on me too for cleaning.
Yeah, because here in the, it says for new construction or remodeling, the kennel owner operator shall provide runs surfaced with concrete or other impervious material. Well, the blocks are impervious, but
Yeah, see, that was one I didn't know about, cause I was like, it's concrete, so I'm using concrete, but I mean, ideally, like I said, I will have concrete, but temporarily, that was the solution.
okay. Does anyone have any questions? So how long have you been doing this then, as far as?
I just had 1 litter this summer.
Okay, and how many dogs do you have in the kennels right now?
I have 3 in the kennels and 1 in my house.
Okay, in the house.
Oh, she's been with us for 2.5 years, she's not going outside.
Now you say maximum number of dogs 12, and you have 4 runs, so are we talking of puppies and
Yeah,
growing up before you sell them?
Well, their kennels and runs are big enough to double them up, but I do plan on, I'm actually gonna make some of the indoor runs or kennels smaller to have 5 inside, and then I figure some of those are gonna be puppies, so they'll be in the house anyways.
like I say, that is the one thing that concerns me right now, but you feel that you'll be will you be setting the patio blocks in concrete, or will you be pouring concrete,
I would just put
having a complete concrete?
complete concrete.
Anyone have any thoughts on this?
Well, the only thing I'm wondering, I'm not quite sure if I understand, but they are large dogs, and I just wanna make sure they're not gonna be cramped up in the kennel.
No. Well, because honestly, my plan is to only have 4 adults at a time. Well, 5 with the male. So the others will be pups that are just growing up too. So Great Danes, you're not supposed to start breeding until they're 2 years old, and they're only good for 4 breedings. So once they hit that, they'll retire, and that's why I would start with pups, because then it'll take them 2 years, which the female adults will breed for about 2 years, 2.5 years. So when they're retiring, the pups will be old enough, so it'll be like a constant cycle of in and out. And then once they're retired, they'll go to homes.
So you feel you'll have enough room then for,
Yeah, for 9, that's my goal. 4 pups for breeding and a male.
okay. And how often do you anticipate having a litter coming along then?
If I have 4 breeding, I should have, probably 6 litters a year.
So and how many pups are normal?
Normal is like 8, but my first one was, actually had 14. We lost,
gee.
we lost 2, unfortunately, but we successfully raised a litter of 12.
A lot of pups.
It was a lot of work, but it was fun.
So,
What's the
6.
contingency plan if you can't sell them?
Drop the prices. I mean, I feel I was pretty easy to get rid of 12. I had them all sold before they were even old enough to leave, so. I found there's not a whole lot of Great Dane breeders in the state of Illinois, so they're actually pretty desired.
I was checking with a vet friend of mine, and she said Great Danes, seem to be popular, and they sell
Yeah.
pretty well, so.
Yeah, and I already have a list of people who wanted from my last that didn't get one, so.
So that was what I was thinking, because if you have 6 litters a year at, say,
60
an
puppies.
average of 9, why that's 54 puppies, and go from little Great Danes to bigger Great Danes.
Pretty quickly, yes.
Uh,
Yeah, especially nowadays, there's all kinds of, I mean, like Puppy Finder and so many different Facebook ways to get rid of them that it's pretty easy.
Do you have some kind of a system for, I don't know, background check, make sure they're going to a good home?
I don't really background check, but I do have a pretty, ask about previous, because Great Danes are also kind of particular. They can have a lot of stomach issues, sensitive stomachs, and so I definitely grill them on what they know about Great Danes and making sure they know like the proper feedings, and obviously that it's going to be a very large dog and the space for it, and if it's in town, preferably fenced-in yards. And we were pretty lucky on the last litter. Pretty much every puppy went to somewhat local or people we know. So
one that, had a rescue dog,
Yeah.
and she was mistreated, and this is my concern, that you make sure that the people that are getting your dogs are gonna be good people.
So you're planning on 4 females and six litters a year.
Yeah.
I don't know, is this sounding like a puppy mill, or? How long do you plan on, females going, between breeding? In other words, they have their puppies,
Great Danes generally only go into heat every 9 months, so. And there's tons of research that now is saying that you should breed them back to back and retire them younger. It's better on their uteruses. So, like I said, there'll be four breedings. 3 to 4 is the recommendation, so after 3 or 4 litters, based on how mom does on the litter, on the well-being, and how her body gets back to normal, kind of have to take it from there.
so you'll have vets checking your females
Oh,
in?
yeah, I definitely vet them.
Yeah, Well, like I say, the only thing I'm thinking is the surfacing, and, do you plan on any litters between now and next year, when you will get your everything taken care of as far as?
Yeah. Yeah, I have one that's actually, possibly pregnant right now. She'd be due January 7th. But like I said, because it's January, she's probably gonna whelp in the house.
Okay, okay. Anyone have any other
I think we've
questions?
drilled her enough.
Beg pardon?
I think we've drilled her enough.
Well, so is there a motion on the floor one way or the other?
Hey guys, don't forget animal control has to inspect it, just from hearing all the different ones that we've been talking about the last few meetings I've been
Yeah.
They already
We've
did
already
my
had an
inspection.
officer out.
Yeah, animal
It- it's
control's
been
already been out here,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve.
To
Second,
make a motion to,
approve,
beg pardon,
approve,
approve, okay.
and I second.
Is there any discussion on it? Amanda, would you call the roll, please?
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Barr.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
discussion and action on kennel application and setback variance for eye care. Do you have anything to say?
We've, did some follow through from the last meeting, Ryan, the health department was out, Ryan came and we did an inspection on the septic. All that is straightforward, I don't know if Ryan gave you a report on there or not yet, so. And then we met with Divine, and Sharon talked about other issues too, so any questions regarding any of the criminal stuff that was brought up should pretty much be null and void, but we'll still address it if anything comes up.
Our septic was $13,000, so we got that through Merle, with a donor that supports our charity, he helped pay for that. Our shelter is 501c3 nonprofit, we all work for free, for the shelter, and we have about 50 local volunteers on our roster. Our kennels are, it's really hard to, follow somebody like that because, our place is like a resort and it's a charity for animals, and any dogs, that need help, often from breeders, will come and make their way to our doors, local dogs, and of course, they come with many health issues from being overbred and abuse and neglect, and our job is basically to get them healthy again and spend whatever it takes. Like our typical intake cost for a dog is between, I'll say, $1,500 and $3,000, and that's all paid for by donations from our donors. And all of our volunteers that are paid give a significant portion of their lives, including myself, to get these animals on the road to health, and then to find them new homes. And what we do for each dog when someone applies is they're paying a very small price. It's a $200 adoption fee. And like I said, we spend $1,500 to $3,000 per dog because they come in with so many medical conditions. I'll go to their house. I do a background check on them. And I call vet reference, which they must have. So it's like a very, very thorough process to screen an applicant for adoption, so that we're sure they only go to the best homes and they don't end up in a bad situation for the rest of their life.
Okay.
We got room for Great Danes if needed too.
Actually have a Great Dane currently for adoption.
Is there a motion to approve the license?
I understand, so they met the requirements, Ryan's happy.
As far as the health department, permits, they have met all the requirements and they've been issued the permits.
Okay, yeah, okay. That was my hang up last month.
I would move that we accept or approve it, application.
So do I hear a second? Mr. Curtis, any discussion?
One thing I want to say is that, it is a beautiful facility and we're really proud of it. So I would invite, anyone to come out and, take a look and see what we've done, because, we're proud of it, and our purpose in getting this license is we want to show it off, and we want to have the public involved with, dog walking and socializing the dogs, and, making sure that there's a lot of involvement with the dog shelter from the general public.
Okay, thank you. Amanda, would you call the roll, please?
Remote,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Oswald, Barr,
Yes. Discussion on building permit enforcement fines and penalties, that will be tabled till next month. Discussion and action on publication of rural homesteads. Mrs. Crawford has stated she is putting in work time with getting a website up, and so that will also be tabled unless anyone has any suggestions on that. Okay. resolutions approving the sale of property acquired through the delinquent tax program.
Okay, so the trustees sold 2 more parcels. They are in Middleport Township, within the city of Watsika. One of the parcels is going to the city of Watsika and the other one is going to a, individual. They were sold at the base amount, so total that the county will be receiving is $704. And we just made a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the tax agreement.
Second.
Any discussion? Amanda, call the roll, please.
Kimball,
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Awful, Barth,
Yes. Is there any old business? Any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Call me.
Mr. Sumo, do I hear a second? Mr. Curtis, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay.